There comes a moment when everything around you tries to define you. Your past, your failures, people's opinions, and the limits they place on you. And if you're not careful, you start believing them. You start shrinking, doubting, hesitating. But there is something inside you that refuses to accept that version of your life. A voice that says you were made for more, that you are capable of rising far beyond what anyone expects. That voice is where your power begins. You are not here to be fragile in a world that tests you daily. You are not here to wait for approval, permission, or rescue. You are here to build strength, to develop a mindset that cannot be broken by rejection, failure, or fear. Becoming undefeatable does not mean you will never struggle. It means no struggle will ever be enough to stop you. Life will challenge you in ways you never planned for. People will doubt you, sometimes to your face, sometimes behind your back. There will be moments when you feel alone, when progress feels invisible, when giving up seems easier than continuing. But those are the moments that define you. Not the easy days, not the comfortable wins, but the silent battles where no one sees your effort and no one understands your pain. You must learn to stand firm in those moments, to keep moving when your emotions tell you to stop, to trust your path even when it is unclear. Strength is not loud, it is not always visible. It is built quietly, in discipline, in patience, in consistency. It is built when you choose growth over comfort again and again. Stop seeking validation from people who do not understand your journey. Their approval is temporary and their opinions are limited. If you depend on them, you give away your control. Take that power back. Decide who you are without needing confirmation. Define your worth by your actions, your resilience, and your commitment to becoming better. You will feel fear. You will face doubt. You will encounter moments that shake your confidence. But you must understand this. Fear is not a signal to stop. It is a signal to prepare. Doubt is not a verdict. It is a challenge to strengthen your belief in yourself. Every obstacle is an opportunity to sharpen your mind and harden your will. Do not run from your weaknesses. Face them directly. Study them. Work on them. What you once saw as a limitation can become your greatest advantage if you are willing to put in the effort. The more you confront what holds you back, the less control it has over you. Over time, you become someone who is not easily shaken, not easily discouraged, not easily defeated. Discipline will carry you where motivation cannot. There will be days when you don't feel like trying, when energy is low and excuses feel convincing. Those are the days that matter the most. Show up anyway, do the work anyway, keep moving forward anyway. Because consistency builds a version of you that does not rely on feelings to take action. Stay calm when others panic. Stay focused when others get distracted. Stay committed when others quit. There is a quiet strength in being steady, in being controlled, in being intentional with every step you take. That is what makes you different. That is what makes you dangerous in the best possible way. You are not defined by how many times you fall, but by how many times you rise without losing your determination. Every setback is shaping you. Every challenge is preparing you. Every difficult moment is strengthening something within you that cannot be seen, but will eventually be felt in everything you do. So rise with purpose, move with confidence, build your mind, strengthen your habits, and protect your energy. Become someone who does not break under pressure, who does not lose direction in chaos, who does not give up when things get hard. Become someone who stands strong no matter what comes your way. Most people spend their lives trying to control situations, outcomes, and other people, believing that power comes from influence over the outside world. But the truth is much simpler and far more demanding. Real strength begins when you stop trying to manage everything around you and start mastering what is within you. Your thoughts, your reactions, your impulses. This is where your true authority lies. When your mind is undisciplined, even small problems feel overwhelming. A single negative comment can ruin your entire day, one failure can shake your confidence, and the opinions of others can quietly dictate your decisions. But when your mind is trained, those same things lose their power. You begin to observe instead of react. You pause instead of rushing. You choose instead of being controlled. Mastering your mind does not mean suppressing emotions or pretending that nothing affects you. It means understanding your emotions so deeply that they no longer dictate your behavior. Anger may arise, but it does not command your actions. Fear may appear, but it does not stop your progress. Doubt may whisper, but it does not define your identity. You become aware of every thought that passes through you, and instead of blindly believing it, you question it, reshape it, or let it go. This awareness creates space between stimulus and response, and in that space, your power grows. Trying to control others is a losing battle. People have their own beliefs, their own fears, and their own paths. The more you try to change them, the more frustration you create for yourself. But when you shift your focus inward, everything changes. You realize that no one can make you feel inferior without your consent. No one can break your peace unless you allow it, and no external chaos can disturb you if your inner world remains steady. This is not weakness. It is the highest form of strength. A disciplined mind becomes your greatest ally. It keeps you focused when distractions appear, calm when pressure builds, and consistent when motivation fades. It teaches you to act based on principles rather than emotions, to stay committed even when results are slow, and to move forward even when the path is uncertain. Over time, this control over your inner world creates a quiet confidence that cannot be shaken by opinions, failures, or temporary setbacks. Pain is often misunderstood as something to avoid at all costs, something that signals failure, weakness, or misfortune. From a young age, you are conditioned to seek comfort and escape discomfort, to run from anything that feels heavy, uncertain, or difficult. But pain is not your enemy. It is a messenger, a guide that reveals where you need to grow, where you are being challenged, and where transformation is waiting. Every time you experience pain, whether emotional or physical, it carries a lesson that comfort could never teach you. When you resist pain, you prolong your suffering. You become trapped in cycles of avoidance, distraction, and denial. You might blame others, question your worth, or try to numb the feeling altogether. But the truth is, pain does not disappear when ignored. It lingers, quietly shaping your thoughts and actions until you are forced to confront it. The moment you choose to face it directly, everything begins to shift. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" you start asking, "What is this trying to teach me?" That single shift in perspective turns pain from an obstacle into a tool. Pain exposes your limits. It shows you where your patience runs out, where your fears take control, and where your discipline weakens. Without pain, you would never see these boundaries, and without seeing them, you could never expand them. Each difficult moment is an opportunity to strengthen your resilience, to build endurance, and to develop a deeper understanding of yourself. The discomfort you feel during growth is not a sign that something is wrong. It is a sign that something is changing. There is also a quiet honesty in pain. It strips away illusions and forces you to see reality as it is. It reveals who stands with you and who does not. It shows you what truly matters and what was never worth your energy. In moments of struggle, you are brought face to face with your true self, without distractions or masks. This clarity can be uncomfortable, but it is also incredibly powerful. When you begin to accept pain as a teacher, you stop fearing it. You no longer see challenges as threats, but as opportunities to evolve. You develop the courage to step into difficult situations, knowing that each experience is shaping you into someone stronger, wiser, and more capable. Pain becomes a process of refinement, removing what is unnecessary and strengthening what remains. Instead of breaking you, it rebuilds you layer by layer into a version of yourself that could not have existed without it. Most people see discipline as restriction, something that limits freedom and forces you into a rigid way of living. It feels uncomfortable, demanding, and at times even suffocating. But this perception is incomplete. What looks like restriction on the surface is actually the foundation of true freedom. Without discipline, your life is controlled by impulses, distractions, and temporary desires. You wake up when you feel like it, work only when motivated, and avoid anything that feels difficult. In that state, you are not free, you are a prisoner of inconsistency. Discipline changes that dynamic entirely. It gives you control over your actions regardless of how you feel. Instead of waiting for the right mood, you create consistency through commitment. You show up even when you are tired, you continue even when progress is slow, and you stay focused even when distractions are everywhere. This ability to act beyond emotion is what separates intention from achievement. It transforms ideas into results and dreams into reality. Freedom is often misunderstood as doing whatever you want in the moment, but that kind of freedom is short-lived and deceptive. It leads to regret, missed opportunities, and a lack of direction. Real freedom comes from having the ability to choose your path and stay on it, even when it becomes difficult. Discipline builds that ability. It strengthens your willpower, sharpens your focus, and removes the chaos that comes from a lack of structure. When your habits are aligned with your goals, your life begins to move with clarity and purpose. There is also a deeper level to discipline that goes beyond productivity. It creates inner stability. When you know that you can rely on yourself, your confidence grows naturally. You stop doubting your ability to handle challenges because you have proven, through repeated action, that you will not give up easily. This self-trust becomes a powerful source of freedom. You are no longer dependent on external validation or perfect conditions to move forward. Over time, discipline simplifies your life. It eliminates unnecessary decisions, reduces procrastination, and helps you focus on what truly matters. Instead of being overwhelmed by endless choices, you operate with intention and direction. Your energy is no longer scattered. It is directed toward meaningful progress. This creates space for creativity, growth, and peace of mind, allowing you to experience a form of freedom that is steady, reliable, and deeply rooted in control over yourself from an early age. You are taught to seek approval. You learn to adjust your behavior based on praise, to measure your worth through recognition, and to feel secure only when others validate your choices. This conditioning runs deep, shaping how you speak, act, and even think. You begin to filter your identity through the expectations of others, slowly losing touch with your own voice. The need for validation becomes a quiet dependency, one that influences decisions in ways you may not even notice. When your sense of worth is tied to external approval, your stability becomes fragile. A compliment can lift you, but criticism can break you. You hesitate to take risks because you fear judgment. You hold back your opinions to avoid rejection. You may even pursue paths that do not align with who you truly are, simply because they are accepted or admired by others. In this state, you are not living freely. You are performing, constantly adjusting yourself to fit into shifting standards that you do not control. Detaching from validation does not mean rejecting feedback or isolating yourself from others. It means no longer depending on their approval to feel complete. You begin to understand that people's opinions are shaped by their own experiences, biases, and limitations. What they praise today, they may question tomorrow. If you anchor your identity in something so unstable, you will always feel uncertain. But when you turn inward, you start to build a sense of self that is not easily shaken. This shift requires honesty. You must face the parts of yourself that seek approval and question why they exist. Is it fear of rejection, fear of failure, or the desire to belong? Once you recognize these patterns, you can begin to challenge them. You make decisions based on your values rather than popularity. You express yourself without constantly editing your truth. You accept that not everyone will understand or support you, and you become comfortable with that reality. As you detach from validation, a different kind of confidence begins to form. It is quieter, less dependent on applause, and far more stable. You no longer chase recognition, yet your presence becomes stronger. You act with clarity because your direction comes from within, not from the shifting opinions around you. This independence allows you to take risks, embrace failure as part of growth, and stay consistent even when no one is watching. Your energy is no longer spent seeking approval. It is invested in becoming who you truly are in a world that constantly pushes you to move faster, react instantly, and chase endless distractions. Stillness feels unnatural. You are taught that action equals progress, that speed equals success, and that slowing down means falling behind. But there is a different kind of strength that comes from being still, a quiet power that sharpens your awareness and refines your ability to act with precision. When you are constantly rushing, your mind becomes cluttered. You react without thinking, speak without intention, and move without clarity. In that state, even your best efforts lose direction. Stillness is not inactivity, it is control. It is the ability to pause, observe, and remain grounded even when everything around you is chaotic. When you choose to stay still, you create space to see things as they truly are. You notice patterns in your thoughts, you become aware of your emotions, and you begin to understand the difference between what is urgent and what is important. This awareness allows you to respond instead of react, to act with intention rather than impulse. A sharp mind is not one that is constantly busy, but one that is clear. Clarity comes when you remove unnecessary noise, both external and internal. Distractions weaken your focus, pulling your attention in multiple directions until you feel scattered and exhausted. But when you train yourself to be still, you strengthen your concentration. You learn to hold your attention on one task, one thought, one purpose at a time. This focused energy makes your actions more effective and your decisions more accurate. There is also resilience in stillness. When challenges arise, the natural tendency is to panic or rush into action without fully understanding the situation. But a still mind remains steady. It does not get overwhelmed by pressure or distracted by fear. Instead, it assesses, adapts, and moves with precision. This calmness gives you an advantage, allowing you to navigate difficulties with confidence and control. Staying sharp requires discipline. It means choosing silence over noise, focus over distraction, and patience over impulsiveness. It requires you to step back when necessary, to observe before acting, and to trust that clarity is more powerful than speed. Over time, this practice strengthens your mental edge. You begin to see opportunities others miss, avoid mistakes others rush into, and maintain control even in uncertain situations. Your presence becomes steady, your actions become deliberate, and your mind becomes a tool that works for you instead of against you. Everyone carries weaknesses, whether they are fears, insecurities, past failures, or limitations that feel impossible to overcome. Most people try to hide them, ignore them, or compensate for them in ways that never truly address the root. They see weakness as something shameful, something that must be covered so the world does not see it. But what you avoid does not disappear. It stays within you, quietly influencing your choices, your confidence, and your potential. The moment you decide to face it instead of hiding from it, weakness begins to change its nature. A weakness only holds power over you when it is left unexamined. When you bring awareness to it, you begin to understand it. You ask where it comes from, what triggers it, and how it shapes your behavior. This process is uncomfortable because it requires honesty, but it is also where transformation begins. You stop seeing yourself as limited and start seeing yourself as unfinished, capable of growth in areas you once avoided. The same fear that once held you back becomes a guide, pointing directly toward what you need to develop. There is strength hidden inside every weakness. Insecurity can become self-awareness. Fear can become courage. Failure can become experience, but this transformation does not happen automatically. It requires effort, repetition, and a willingness to step into discomfort again and again. Each time you confront what you once avoided, you weaken its control and strengthen your ability to handle it. Over time, what once felt like a barrier becomes a skill, something you have trained and refined through deliberate effort. Turning weakness into a weapon also changes your mindset. Instead of asking how to avoid challenges, you begin to seek them. You understand that growth only happens when you are pushed beyond your comfort zone. This shift makes you more resilient, more adaptable, and more prepared for whatever comes your way. You stop fearing failure because you see it as part of the process, not the end of it. There is also a unique advantage in having faced your weaknesses directly. You develop a depth of understanding that others may not have. You become more aware, more disciplined, and more grounded in reality. This awareness allows you to navigate situations with greater control and confidence. What once made you feel small now becomes a source of strength, something that sharpens your perspective and strengthens your actions. Instead of being defined by your weaknesses, you reshape them into tools that serve your growth and push you forward.